Hello everyone, this is Dr. Syed Abrar. I welcome you all for the second part of the presentation on bryophytes. Dear students, every organism on earth is special in its own way. Each species has retained its characteristics since centuries, each individual separate from other by its features. If we consider the cat family of kingdom Animalia, among 38 species, the lion, tiger, leopard, black panther, cat, etc. are included. Each species among cat family is differentiated by their appearances. If we consider the humans, the only species or the only surviving species is Homo sapien, which has been evolved from another species, Homo erectus, and the same species may be originated from the great apes. However, each individual of human being on a first priority is distinctly separated from their facial characters. If we consider the kingdom Plantae, there are different kinds of classification of plants on various grounds, such as autotrophic and heterotrophic, herbs, shrubs and trees, mesophytes, hydrophytes, xerophytes, epiphytes and halophytes, cellular plants and vascular plants, then the spore producing plants and seed producing plants, flowering plants and non-flowering plants, monocots and dicots, and the famously classified groups are the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Each group is separated by their distinguished characters. So dear students, today's presentation is about the general characters of bryophytes. And I will also deal with the similarities and differences between the bryophytes with algae and also pteridophytes. Every term in botany or in any of the science has a definition. If we can define plants or if we can define the flower, we can also define the bryophytes. So bryophytes are non-flowering plants, amphibious plants found in group of individuals comprising of liverworts, hornworts and mosses, characterized by thalloid or leafy plant body without vascular tissue but dependent upon water for sexual reproduction, whose life cycle alternate between long haploid gametophytic generation and short diploid sporophytic generation. So bryophytes can be classified or categorized on various terms. So we can classify or categorize these bryophytes on the basis of habitats. Habitat is nothing but a place of dwelling or dwelling place, I can say. So on the basis of this, so bryophytes can be classified into terricolous, corticolous, saxicolous, lignicolous, folicolous, xerophytic, aquatic and endomycorrhizae. So bryophytes, if at all they are terricolous, the bryophytes growing on soil are called as terricolous. So bryophytes growing on the bark are called as corticolous. Bryophytes growing on rocks, they are called as saxicolous. Bryophyte growing on the dead logs are called as lignicolous. So bryophytes growing on leaves, they are called as folicolous. So bryophytes growing on the or in a dry region, they are called like xerophytic. If at all the bryophytes growing in water, either submerged or floating, they are referred as aquatic. And the bryophytes having a symbiotic relationship with the fungi, they are referred as endomycorrhizae. So these endomycorrhizae is a symbiotic relationship between the mycobiont and the rhizoids of the bryophytes. You can see the diagrams. There are two species here, and each of the two species rhizoids are assembled with the fungal mycelium. They prefer to grow in moist, humid and shady places. So these three conditions, moist, humid and shady places, obviously they have moisture content. If at all moisture content is there, bryophytes love to grow over there. So it is not a thing that they only grow in these conditions. They prefer or they love to grow in these three conditions. So on the basis of the morphology, or the physical appearances or morphological appearances. So bryophytes can be classified into three types. The first is the liverworts, second hornworts, the third are the mosses. Liverworts means the bryophytes resembling the lobed liver. If at all the bryophytes are resembling with elongated horn-like structures, they are called as hornworts. If at all the bryophytes are resembling with the green velvety mats, then it is called as mosses. You can see here, so liverworts, it's resembling almost the liver shaped lobed liver. So the hornworts are resembling with the elongated structures like horns, they are called as hornworts. So when we see the mosses, they seems to be like the velvety mats. If we see very closely, if at all we magnify these mosses under a microscope, you can see the individual plants. So these are the mosses. So bryophytes are more autotrophic. The thing is, they are telling about the mode of nutrition. So autotrophic means if at all the bryophytes can prepare their own food, or it can self-nourish itself by the process of photosynthesis, they are referred as autotrophic, and they are less heterotrophic, and the least number of the bryophytes, or rarely we can find the bryophytes in heterotrophic mode. Heterotrophic means the organisms which are dependent on the other organisms on the substratum for a nourishment. So you can see here, this is a species of Cryptophallus, where you can see the white colored gametophyte as well as the sporophyte. Here we don't find any of the chloroplast, whereas in autotrophic photographs you can see the right picture is of the chloroplast. The plant body is small. Obviously, the plant body is very much small. They are green, obviously, because it contains the chloroplast. They are leafy or thalloid, and the very main thing is they are haploids. It contains only the n number of chromosomes. Then the plant body is referred as gametophyte because it produces the gametes. Here you can see the antheridiophore of the Marchantia, and beside, at the base you can see the thallus structure. This thallus structure produces the antheridiophore or the archegoniophore, which is a special reproductive structures, and on these structures the male and female gametes are born. That's why they are referred as gametophyte. The plant body may be thalloid or leafy. Thalloid, it refers to, or it links to the term thallus, that is, the plant body cannot be differentiated into the roots, stems and the leaves. Foliose means it is referred to the leafy like structures, that is, if a bryophyte is a rootless leafy shoot, then it is called as foliose. So you can see the thallus, where we can't differentiate between the root or the stem or the leaves. And here you can see the foliose bryophyte. You can see the leaf like appearances. They are not leaves, but they are leaf like appearances. That's why it is referred as foliose. And if we consider the gametophyte, the plant body does not contain any root or any stem or any leaf, but it contains root like rhizoids, stem like axis and the leaf like appendages. That is, the bryophyte gametophyte consists of the rhizoids, axis and appendages. And in the lower forms of bryophytes, the thallus grow prostrate or horizontal, I can say, and it attaches to the substratum by delicate unbranched unicellular hair-like structures, which are called as the rhizoids. You can see here in lower forms, the rhizoids are unicellular. In higher forms of bryophytes, the thallus go erect, that is vertical in condition. It consists of the stem-like structure called as axis and leaf-like structures called as appendages. The axis is attached to the substratum by branched and multicellular structures called as rhizoids. The conclusion is, in the higher forms of bryophytes, the rhizoids are multicellular. So the plant body or the gametophyte consists of the parenchyma cells. So you can see the three pictures here. On the left side you can see the leafy like appendages. Seems to be porous in condition, but it's not porous. On the right side at the top you can see that each individual leaf, and each individual leaf is magnified. At the lower photograph you can see the chloroplast. So bryophyte does not have any vascular tissue, that is, it does not possess xylem and phloem. So xylem, as you know, it conducts the water, the phloem conducts the food and the nutrients. But other than the xylem or phloem, it consists of hydroids and leptoids. Hydroids, it conducts the water, leptoids, it conducts the nutrients. So bryophytes may be monoecious or dioecious. Monoecious means the male and female reproductive structures developed on same plant. That is, the plant body having both the male and female reproductive structures. Whereas the dioecious means the male and female reproductive structures are born on different plants. So here you can see the totally 5 photographs. On the left top you can see a species of bryophyte, and at the lowermost, at the base of that you can see the 2 photographs which are the leaves. On the right side, the red colored leaf, it is stained actually, and you can see at the topmost it is indicated with AR. It refers to the archegonia. On the right side you can see the 2 black and white pictures. The most right one shows the plant body, and beside that you can see an arrow mark indicating the ANTH. It refers to the antheridium. So the antheridium and archegonium are present on the same plant, or the male and female reproductive structures are present on the same plant. It is called as monoecious. Dioecious means that there are 2 different plants and each plant bears the either male or female reproductive structures. You can see here the archegoniophores are present. So archegoniophores and antheridophores of Marchantia are there. So left side you can see the archegoniophore. On the right side you can see the archegoniophore. So archegoniophore holds up the archegonia, antheridophore holds up the antheridium. So when you come to reproduction, so in bryophytes there are 3 types: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So by vegetative methods, the bryophytes reproduce by producing gemmae, brood bodies, tubers, etc. So there are 3 pictures. So the left top one you can see the thallus, and on the thallus you can see the cup shaped structures. The cup shaped structures are nothing but the gemma cup, and at the base of that photograph you can see the magnified gemma cups, 2 gemma cups, and on the right side there is a still magnified picture. You can see the gemma cup. Within the gemma cup you can see numerous gemmae. So these gemmae, by the wind or by any other means, they fall on the substratum, and each gemma or gemmae, they develop and they grow as an individual bryophyte. So if you take the section of this gemma cup, it will be like this. So within the gemma cup you can see the numerous gemmae, and on the right picture you can see an individual gemma. So these are present on the thallus. The second are the brood bodies. The brood bodies are nothing but the filamentous structures which are present on the leaf or below the leaf. There are 2 photographs. The left side shows a small finger-like or filamentous shaped structures present at the base, and if at all you take a section of this, on the right side you can see the picture. So these are the finger-like elongated filamentous structures. Each of these structures falls on the substratum, and each of that filament grow as an individual. This is another kind of brood bodies where you can see at the center you can see small leafy-like structures. So these leafy-like structures are separated from the main gametophyte, and when they fall on the suitable substratum, in each of one they grow as an individual bryophyte. So next are the tubers. So these tubers are nothing but the tuber-like structures, a small tuberous growths which are present at the rhizoids or in between the rhizoids, or I can say that they grow on the rhizoids. So these tubers, so if at all they fall on a suitable substratum, they grow as an individual plant body. So the three pictures represents, the left one represents the whole plant with the gametophyte, and at the basal region you can see numerous tubers, almost 15 to 20. The right top one shows the magnified one, and the base of the base photograph is the individual tuber on the rhizoid. So these bryophytes, they also reproduce asexually by means of fragmentation, protonema, regeneration, apospory and apogamy. So fragmentation, as you know, there will be a plant body, if at all by some means or by any of the what I can say, either a human being or by animals or by some natural calamities, they separate from the main plant body or a mother plant body, and each of the fragment of the mother plant body will be grown as an individual. The second is the protonema. So protonema is developed from the spore, produced from the sporophyte. So this protonema is a juvenile gametophyte. It is a filamentous structure which gives rise to a new individual plant body. Regeneration. So this is actually artificially grown bryophyte in a aseptic condition. Here you can see there will be a the left top one, you can see there at the right side you can see the mother plant, and from the mother plant at the tip a new individual is growing as a new plant. So the thing is, if there is a bryophyte and a part of the bryophyte will start diminishing or disintegrating, and the typical or the apices of that plant body will grow as a new individual, and that is called as regeneration. So some bryologists, they refer regeneration can be of two types, apospory and apogamy. Apospory is nothing but the development of diploid gametophyte directly from the cell of the sporophyte without spore formation or meiosis. So the thing is, gametophyte will be always haploid. If at all there will be diploid gametophyte from the sporophyte, it is referred as apospory. The second is apogamy. Apogamy is nothing but development of haploid sporophyte from the gametophyte without fertilization. So as you all know, sporophyte will be always diploid in condition. If at all you find haploid sporophyte, then it is developed from the haploid gametophyte from a process called apogamy. The sexual reproduction takes place by oogamy. So oogamy is nothing but there will be two gametes, one male and another female. The female will be very small, having the flagella or motile in condition, whereas the female will be large and it will be non-motile. That is, the male will be motile in condition, small, whereas the female will be non-motile in condition and large. These two gametes, they fuse, and the process is called as oogamous. So here, if at all I talk about the two reproductive structures, the male reproductive structure is called as the antheridium and the female reproductive structure is called as archegonium. So you can see a special type of structures on the left side. There is a photograph. It shows the Markensia antheridiophore. It's a special structure, and if you take the section of this, the longitudinal section of this antheridiophore, you can see the right diagram. So the stalk will be there. The stalk here, it is referred as peduncle, and on the topmost portion you can see the red colored or pink stained bodies, and they are nothing but antheridia. There are almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 antheridias at the top. So these antheridiums will be stalked, that is, it contains a stalk or a peduncle, and the shape will be globose or elliptical. So when you magnify an antheridium, you can see like this. So there will be a stalk and the pink color body. It is covered by the cell, some cells, and that cells are referred as jacket. So just see the right diagram. Here is a pictorial representations of this antheridium. So this antheridium will present in the cavity called as antheridial cavity or antheridial chamber, and this antheridium, it is covered by the wall. It is called as antheridial wall or jacket, and inside the jacket you can find the androcyte mother cells, and these androcyte mother cell on meiosis give rise to androcytes, and on metamorphosis the androcytes will be developed into the sperms or enterozoites. So you can see the three diagrams, the three images. On the left portion you can see the magnified antheridium, and the pink color structures are nothing but the enterozoites. So the middle picture or the center one, you can see the enterozoites are metamorphosing, and the right picture is a pictorial diagram where you can see the single sperm with two flagella. And the students, just remember that, so in the sperms in bryophytes will be always flagellated, that is biflagellated. It contains two flagella, and the type of flagella is whiplash type. Again, you can see the two diagrams. The left image show the archegoniophore of the Markensia. Again, the special structures which bears the archegonia at the top. Here, the archegonia is the first structure appearing in the plant kingdom, whereas in algae, so there will be oogony. So on the right image, you can see the archegoniophore, which is a longitudinal section of the archegoniophore. At the base, you can see the thallus, and there will be a stalk called as peduncle, and there are arrow marks indicating the small structures of archegonia. Let me show you the magnified one. If you magnify, so these structures will be the flask shaped bodies, and these flask shaped bodies are referred as archegonium or archegonia. So these archegonia, they are flask shaped structures. So they are differentiated by two parts, the swollen venter and the elongated neck like or slender portion called as neck. So you can see the diagrammatic representation on the right side. There are two parts, the neck and the venter. The venter consists of the ventral cavity where the egg is placed. At the center you can see the egg, and at the base you can see the stalk of the archegonia, and at the neck region you can see the neck cells, and in between the neck cells you can find the neck canal cells, and on the topmost portion of the cells which are called as cover cells. So each sex organ or each reproductive organ of a bryophyte, it is covered by the multicellular jacket layer. Either the archegonia or either the antheridium, both are covered by the jacket layers, and these jacket layers are multicellular in condition. So gametes, they fuse together and fertilization occurs. The fertilization occurs by the fusion of antherozoites. Antherozoites means sperms from antheridium and egg from the archegonia to form a product called as zygote. And here the zygote is 2N, it is diploid in condition. This fertilization needs water for sexual reproduction because sperm swims and reach egg in the presence of water. So you can see the right diagram, the right image. You can see some moving sperms from the antheridium of the bryophyte. The fertilized egg is present within the venter of the archegonium. It never comes out from archegonium and never enters into the resting period. So you can see the diagram of the zygote. So the left one, you can so the before picture what you have seen is the archegonium. So you can see the neck canal cells and cover cells, whereas after metamorphosis, this archegonium will be represented like this. You can see the zygote at the center. So the zygote directly undergoes a repeated division by mitosis to form an undifferentiated multicellular structure called as embryo. So dear students, as you all know, the zygote can undergo meiosis and it can produce spores. If at all it produces spores, it will be on only gametophyte. and that gametophyte may be dry in condition. And if at all it's a dry in condition, the spores which have been came from the zygote may not develop or may die. So that's why, so just escaping from this death, so this zygote will undergo mitosis, and this mitosis, after mitosis, it produces a structure, okay, and that structure is called as embryo. And that embryo, on continuous division, it produces a structure called as sporophyte, okay, and that sporophyte is differentiated by its different parts. Anyhow, so here I will tell you some of the characteristics of the Calyptra. So here you can see the two diagrams. The left diagram shows a sporophyte. On the topmost portion you can see the some covering, and that covering is nothing but the Calyptra. So the venter envelope enlarges with the developing embryo to form protective multicellular structure called as Calyptra. So you can see the another two diagrams of two different species of the bryophytes. Again, these are nothing but the Calyptra at the apices or at the tips. So as you can see, there are two diagrams, the left and right. So these two images shows the sporophytes. So by further division and differentiation, the embryo produces a relatively small spore producing structure called as sporophyte or sporogonium. So dear friends, the zygote will be produced. So zygote undergoes mitosis to produce embryo. So the embryo will undergo many divisions to produce the sporogonium or sporophyte. So this sporophyte does not differentiate into stem, root or leaves, but they are differentiated, or it is differentiated by three parts. It is the foot, seta and the capsule. In some of the species, foot and seta are absent. The sporophyte is simple than the gametophyte and attached to the parent gametophyte throughout its life cycle. It is dependent upon sporophytes for its nutrition. Exactly right, because the sporophyte cannot live without gametophyte, because it needs nourishment and it gets its nourishment from the gametophyte. The foot is embedded, that is, foot of the sporophyte is embedded inside the gametophyte to absorb nutrition for the sporophytic growth. The seta conducts the food absorbed by the foot to the capsule. The terminal capsule is mainly concerned in the production of spores. So the three parts of the sporophyte is involved in different kinds of work. The foot is involved in absorbing the nutrients. The seta is involved in the conduction of the food or water. The capsule is involved in the production of the spores. So you can see the capsule, the two diagrams represent the capsule. The left one is the whole of the capsule, and the whole of the capsule is differentiated with different parts, and inside the capsule you can find the spore mother cells, and these spore mother cells undergo meiosis, produce non-motile haploid spores which are disseminated by winds or animals or humans or maybe other means. So on the right diagram you can see the spores. The magnified capsule area, you can see the pink colored structures which are the haploid spores. So these spores are morphologically similar, and that's why they are referred as homosporous. The homosporous is a condition you can see in bryophytes. So each spore, on falling on suitable substratum, it germinates and give rise to a filamentous finger-like structure called as protonema. And this protonema, it represented as juvenile or young gametophyte. You can see a different numerous filaments, and numerous filaments are nothing but the protonema. So in the life cycle of the bryophytes, the two generations alters, and this representation is called as alternation of generation. You can see the two diagrams. The left one shows the gametophyte, the right one shows the sporophyte, and here the alternation of generation is called as heterologous or heteromorphic. Heteromorphic, as the name represents, hetero means dissimilar, morphic means morphology, that is, it has the dissimilar morphology in both the sporophytic and as well as in gametophytic generation. So these two generations called as the gametophytic generation and also the sporophytic generation. So gametophytic generation is always dominant and haploid in condition, which is independent and long lived, whereas the sporophytic generation is diploid in condition, it is less prominent and it is completely dependent upon the gametophyte and it is short lived. So this completes the characters of the bryophytes. Now the important thing, why the bryophytes are referred as amphibians of plant kingdom. So these bryophytes, as you know, they have evolved from their ancestors. The ancestors are the algae. So irrespective of the species. So bryophytes usually grow in sufficient moisture and cannot complete their life cycle without external water. They can very appropriately be called as amphibians of plant kingdom by three ways. The very first is the bryophytes have insufficient absorbing organs. So these bryophytes does not have any roots. They have only rhizoids. So these rhizoids are inefficient absorbing organs. So the bryophytes require sufficient moisture for successful vegetative growth. So the gametophyte can absorb water by itself. It does not need rhizoids to absorb the water. Second thing, the sex organs of bryophytes cannot reach maturity and do not dehyse. That is, antherozoids cannot dehyse without the help of the water. The third and the last thing and the most important thing is the flagellate sperms need moisture or water to reach the archegonium for fertilization. So these are the three weaves. The 3 points represents why bryophytes are referred as the amphibians of plant kingdom. So now I will deal with the similarities and differences between the bryophytes and algae. So in both the groups, the plant body is called as gametophyte because it produces the gametes. The plant body is referred as thallus because the plant body cannot be differentiated into root, stem and leaves. Here the roots are absent, so other than the roots, the rhizoids are present. The rhizoids are present in higher forms of the algae, whereas the rhizoids can be seen in all of the bryophytes. The early developed gametophyte of bryophyte is filamentous. The filamentous like structures you can see here are nothing but the protonema on the left side, where you can see the bryophyte related images. On the right side you can see the filamentous algae. So these both things are linked to the protonema. Here the nutrition is autotrophic. Yes, the bryophytes and algae consist of the chloroplast and they can self-nourish itself or they can prepare their own food by the process called as photosynthesis. So the vegetative cells of the both bryophytes and algae consist of the chloroplast and because of this they are referred as autotrophic. Here the vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem, are absent. So in bryophytes the xylem and phloem are substituted by the hydroids and leptoids. So both the bryophyte and algae have the sperms, and the sperms consist of the flagella, and this flagella is very much needed to swim and go near the archegonium for the fertilization. So what are the differences then? So here in bryophytes the plant body is thalloid or leafy. Of course in algae the plant body is thalloid and leafy too, but they have some more conditions, that is they are unicellular, multicellular and filamentous. Unicellular because they have only one cell, multicellular means more than 2 or 3 cells, filamentous means the thallus or the plant body is filament like. So tissue differentiation is well developed in bryophytes, whereas the tissue differentiation can be seen only in higher forms of the algae. So sex organs are covered by sterile jacket, that is the antheridium and archegonium of bryophytes are covered by the antheridial wall or a jacket layer, whereas the sex organs of these algae are not covered by any of the sterile jackets. So female sex organ in bryophytes is referred as archegonium, whereas the female sex organ in algae is referred as oogonium. In bryophytes, the sexual reproduction is oogamous. So as I have said, there will be two gametes, one motile and non-motile, and whereas in the algae, the sexual reproduction is isogamous, anisogamous, and also oogamous. Isogamous means the gametes are similar in size. Anisogamous means the gametes are dissimilar in size. Oogamous means the same conditions as I said about the bryophytes, that is, there will be two gametes, one will be large and non-motile, and another will be small and motile. The non-motile is the female reproductive structure or a female gamete, whereas the motile is the male gamete. So zygote remains enclosed in archegonium in bryophytes, whereas zygote is liberated freely in the substratum from the plant in the algae. So embryo is produced from zygote in bryophytes, whereas embryo is never produced in algae. So in bryophytes, sporophytes is dependent upon the gametophyte. So in algae, sporophyte is independent of the gametophyte. And in bryophytes, sporophyte can be differentiated into three parts: foot, seta, and capsule. We can't see any of the differentiation of sporophyte in algae. So alternation of generation is heteromorphic in the bryophytes, whereas the alternation of generation in algae is homomorphic. That is, the similar types of morphology can be seen in both gametophytic generation and as well as sporophytic generation. Now we will deal with the similarities and differences between the bryophytes and pteridophytes. So in both the groups, the sex organs, that is archegonium and antheridium, are covered by multicellular structures called as jacket layer or jacket cells. So you can see the presence of female sex organ, that is archegonium, in both the groups. So water is very much essential for fertilization. So here, so we call the bryophytes as amphibians of plant kingdom, whereas in the pteridophytes are famously referred as reptiles of the plant kingdom or the snakes of the plant kingdom. So in both the groups, male gametes consist of flagella and sexual reproduction is oogamous. Then the development of embryo takes place within the archegonium. So the sporangia consists of the multicellular structure, multicellular type. It consists of more than 5 or 6 number of cells. The life cycle of is characterized by the heteromorphic alternation of generations. So what are the differences between two groups? So in bryophytes, the plant body is either leafy or thalloid, whereas in pteridophytes, the plant body can easily be differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. In bryophyte, the plant body or the gametophyte is haploid, whereas in the pteridophyte, the plant body, that is the sporophyte, is diploid. So in bryophyte, vascular tissues like xylem and phloem are absent, whereas in pteridophytes, the vascular tissue like xylem and phloems are developed. In bryophytes, the sporophytic phase is completely dependent upon the gametophyte, whereas in pteridophytes, the sporophytic phase is independent and autotrophic. So the last one, the gametophyte is dominant in life cycle of the bryophytes, whereas the sporophyte is dominant in life cycle of the pteridophytes. So dear students, in this presentation, I dealt you with the definition, then the general characters of the bryophytes, the similarities and differences of bryophytes and algae, and also the similarities and differences of the pteridophytes and bryophytes. So in the next class or in the next presentation, I will deal with the detailed sexual reproduction of bryophyte, alternation of generation, and also the classification of bryophytes. So till then, Stay safe and be healthy. Thank you so much.